We often view blood sugar as a reactive spike to a meal, but the reality is more complex. It is a state of physiological equilibrium, a continuous, precise matching of energy input to cellular uptake. Every time we ingest carbohydrates, our body rapidly reduces them into simple sugars. This process creates a constant metabolic pressure, threatening to saturate the system faster than cells can process the fuel. This is systemic glycemic equilibrium. It relies on three specific variables: the velocity of dietary input, the rate of cellular clearance, and the stability of the endocrine environment. Choosing low glycemic indexed foods, those rated 55 or lower, like oats and lentils, mechanically slows the enzymatic breakdown of carbohydrates. This ensures energy enters the reservoir at a manageable, controlled rate. Soluble fiber acts as a physical barrier within the digestive tract. It forms a structural net that traps sugar particles, preventing them from flooding into the bloodstream all at once. These three elements, carb selection, fiber density, and the glycemic index, form the primary dietary defense for the system. Controlling this initial input velocity provides the baseline stability required to keep the biological system from being overwhelmed. Beyond managing what enters the system, we must look at how the body removes excess glucose. The most powerful engine for this clearance is skeletal muscle. Physical activity, even in the form of short exercise snacks or a brisk walk, provides a mechanical override for the body's energy management. Movement immediately increases cellular insulin sensitivity. This allows muscle tissue to pull glucose directly from the blood to power the activity. While muscle provides active clearance, the body also utilizes a passive pathway through the renal system, which is driven by hydration. Maintaining adequate water levels provides the fluid volume necessary for the kidneys to filter the blood, effectively flushing excess sugar out of the system through urine. Together, kinetic movement and renal filtration act as the body's physical exhaust valves, clearing out the energy that isn't immediately needed. Efficiency also depends on the specific architecture of every meal. This graph compares absorption rates. Isolated carbohydrates cause a volatile spike, but pairing those carbs with lean proteins or healthy fats delays gastric emptying, creating a stable wave. Smaller, frequent meals and portion management cap the glycemic load, replacing extreme peaks with manageable ripples. This stability is broken by sugary beverages and alcohol. Because these liquids lack complex structures, they bypass digestion and hit the bloodstream with maximum velocity. Refined carbohydrates follow a similar case. Once processed, white bread, bagels, and white potatoes are metabolically indistinguishable from table sugar. Managing these inputs is complicated by the hidden load paradox. Added sugars hide in savory items, like barbecue or teriyaki sauce, which can contain 8 grams. Health products carry the same burden. Fruit-flavored yogurts and granola bars are heavily bound with added syrups. This includes the low-fat trap. When fat is removed, they add sugar for flavor. Maintaining equilibrium requires treating modern processed foods as engineered disruptors that must be neutralized through strict macronutrient pairing. At the microscopic level, specific nutrients and biological agents dictate how efficiently the body's cells can process these inputs. Deficiencies in chromium and magnesium act as bottlenecks, directly degrading the body's ability to clear glucose from the blood. Replenishing these minerals through leafy greens, nuts, and seeds repairs the underlying cellular machinery required for energy transport. Beyond minerals, medicinal foods like apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, and berberine show promise in assisting glycemic regulation. These should be viewed as targeted clinical interventions. Consultation with a doctor is necessary before using them as concentrated supplements. The gut microbiome also plays a role. Fermented foods like kefir and kimchi introduce bacteria that alter how the digestive system processes carbohydrates. Consistent probiotic intake is linked to lower fasting blood sugar levels and a reduction in systemic insulin resistance over time. Reducing body weight by just 5% yields a disproportionately high metabolic return. This small decrease in mass specifically reduces the inflammatory signaling from fat cells that physically blocks insulin receptors, allowing the remaining cells to function with much higher efficiency. By optimizing minerals, gut flora, and body mass, you are effectively building a more efficient engine for energy disposal. However, even a perfect diet can be hijacked by the body's internal stress response. Psychological stress triggers a cascade of endocrine signals, specifically the release of cortisol and glucagon. When the liver receives these stress signals, it is forced to dump its stored glucose into the bloodstream to prepare for a fight or flight response, regardless of your last meal. The only way to consistently reset this endocrine interference is through high-quality sleep. Sleep deprivation keeps cortisol levels artificially high and tanks insulin sensitivity, leaving the system in a perpetual state of emergency. Securing 7 to 8 hours of sleep fulfills a specific metabolic requirement for restoring receptor sensitivity and flushing stress hormones. Without this baseline endocrine stability, even the most disciplined dietary and exercise protocols will fail to maintain balance. The final step in maintaining this equilibrium is moving from general guidelines to empirical data. Continuous monitoring allows you to map your body's exact physiological response to specific foods and activities in real time. Managing blood sugar is the active orchestration of nutrient density, kinetic clearance, and endocrine balance. This state is achieved by modulating these different inputs based on the feedback from your own biological data. Achieving glycemic equilibrium allows you to convert this raw data into precise, repeatable physiological control. You're trying to stay productive, but around 2 p.m. it hits. That heavy exhaustion makes staying upright at your desk feel like a physical struggle. This illustrates the physiological cause. The sharp vertical surge is a blood sugar spike, and the steep plunge is the crash, leaving you drained. Liquid sugar directly triggers these surges. Sodas, energy drinks, and sweet wines drive these peaks higher and faster than anything else. Because these liquids contain no fiber to buffer the process, glucose absorbs into your bloodstream immediately. You receive a brief, artificial energy rush, but the trade-off is an inevitable physical crash that derails your focus for the rest of the day. Eliminating sodas and cocktails is the baseline for stabilization. However, achieving metabolic health requires looking at foods appearing healthy, but acting quite differently once digested. If we move from the fridge to the pantry, we find common staples that act on your body with the same speed as liquid sugar. These are refined carbohydrates, everyday items like white bread, bagels, rice cakes, and even baked white potatoes. This comparison table shows why they are a risk. Without fiber to slow digestion, your body processes a bagel with the same metabolic response as pure table sugar. When you combine these carbs with saturated or trans fats, like butter or oils used in frying, you add a layer of metabolic strain, contributing to poor long-term cardiovascular health. Relying on easily accessible calories sacrifices energy stability and increases the risk of chronic insulin resistance. This brings us to the morning routine and the way marketing creates a health halo around certain high-sugar foods. Many people choose bran flakes, flavored instant oatmeal, or fruit yogurt because they believe they are making a nutritionally optimized choice. This matrix plots perceived healthiness against the actual internal chaos it causes. Many breakfast options contain 16 to 30 grams of added sugar. That places these products in the top right quadrant, foods marketed as healthy but causing significant internal volatility. While the packaging emphasizes health, the physical reality of the ingredients shows a different profile once they hit your system. This causes glycemic volatility, the unseen internal toll of a breakfast that forces your body onto a glucose roller coaster before your workday even begins. Good intentions are often bypassed by these manufacturing choices, turning a responsible-looking morning routine into a source of metabolic instability. This dynamic continues in the convenience items used to navigate a packed daily schedule. Granola bars and premium protein bars are frequently marketed as wholesome, yet they are often major sources of hidden sugar. To give these bars their shape and texture, manufacturers use ingredients like high-fructose corn syrup, brown sugar, or honey as sticky binders. A similar pattern occurs in low-fat packaged snacks. When fat is removed to meet a diet label, the food often loses its natural flavor. To make these snacks palatable again, manufacturers add extra sugar to compensate for the loss of taste and texture. Choosing a protein bar or diet snack for convenience saves a few minutes of preparation, but it results in a prolonged metabolic penalty. We need to audit the final, most overlooked categories in the kitchen: condiments, dairy alternatives, and preserved fruits. This checklist identifies the risks. Condiments like ketchup, barbecue sauce, and vinaigrettes are highly sweetened. Using just a few tablespoons of these sauces can add 8 grams of sugar to an otherwise healthy meal. We see this again in flavored dairy alternatives like vanilla oat milk, and in dried fruits, where sweeteners are added to mask natural tartness. Failing to account for these sauces and liquids means you are adding empty carbohydrates to your whole food choices without realizing it. Reclaiming sustained energy requires a shift toward active dietary defenses. The first rule is checking nutrition labels for deceptive names. If you see dextrose, agave, or various syrups, you are looking at a product that will spike your glucose. To help stabilize your levels, increase your intake of soluble fiber. Vegetables, legumes, and whole grains work to slow down the digestion of carbohydrates. You can also use pairing, intentionally eating carbohydrates alongside lean proteins and healthy fats to reduce the height of post-meal surges. The trade-off for this stability is moving away from sweetened convenience and committing to unsweetened varieties and grocery aisle vigilance. Diet is only one part of the equation. True blood sugar management is a holistic process. Physical activity and short exercise snacks during the day directly increase how effectively your cells use blood sugar. Lifestyle variables also play a role. Poor sleep and chronic stress raise cortisol, which causes blood sugar to rise independently of what you eat. Tracking your levels can provide specific insights into how your unique biology reacts to different foods and stress triggers. Stable blood sugar is the result of a comprehensive lifestyle audit that trades deceptive marketing for data-driven metabolic mastery.